Hey, what's up? Today's going to be a short tutorial. I'm going to show you how you can create a tilt shift effect in After Effects using only native effects to get something that looks like this. So as you can see, it looks like it's a miniature, like a tiny little model village, and you can do this with any kind of aerial shot or any photography, aerial photography, that kind of thing, and just give it that kind of miniature feel. So let's just jump right into After Effects and see what we've got. Alright, so I've got my shot in After Effects here, and you can see I've got two additional layers as well as my footage layer. Now the footage layer, I haven't done anything to it. All of the color correction I've done is on this adjustment layer, and I'll explain the reason for that later, but for now, let's just have a look at what's in these layers. So the tilt shift layer is just an adjustment layer. You can see that because it's got that little black and white thing, and you create that by just going New, Adjustment Layer. Alright, now this adjustment layer has two effects on it. It has the color correction, which I can disable, and there's your raw shot. And then it has this camera lens blur filter. Now you may have seen the anamorphic bokeh tutorial I did, and if you haven't, go and check it out if it interests you, because it's a really cool feature. But basically, camera lens blur allows you to get very realistic looking bokeh from your footage by blurring out areas and then affecting those highlights into these kind of bokeh balls. And if I bump this up, you can see that, you know, you really get those beautiful swirls, those beautiful bokeh balls, but that's way too much. Then we have this blur map layer, which is actually disabled, because if I enable it, you see it's just white that's gradiating out into black or transparent. So let's just create a new composition for now with this footage. We'll just drag it down, put it on a new composition there, and there we go. What we're going to do is first of all create an adjustment layer, and we'll call that lens blur. All right, next up we're going to create a solid. We'll make it white. All right, and then make sure it's comp size, cool. Next you're going to pre-compose this. You can do this either by coming up to layer and going pre-compose, or you can just do the shortcut, which is Shift Command or Shift Control and C, and make sure you have move all attributes into new composition ticked. Okay, and there you go, your solid has been moved into a pre-comp. Now you come up to here to this rectangle tool by hitting Q or coming up here, and with the white solid layer selected so that we can draw a mask, you're going to draw a big wide rectangle. Now make sure you go far, reach over, because we're going to be feathering this and we don't want it to affect the sides, we only want it to affect the top and bottom. You'll see what I mean now when I hit F on the keyboard and just drag this up. I don't want this to be bleeding out into the white at all. I want it to be a sharp line there, but here I want this feathered. Okay, right. Now, if you remember masks, white is active, black is transparent. So what we're going to need to do is invert this mask. That way black is unaffected, white is affected by the blur. Now we head back to this composition, and well, that looks kind of crap. Let's just call this blur map. All right. Now you can remove the visibility of that, that's not a problem. On the lens blur adjustment layer that we created, we're going to come up here and type in camera lens blur. There it is. Double click, add that on. Suddenly it's blurred your whole picture, which is horrible. Let's make the radius 50, so it's nice and blurry. Let's make the shape whatever shape you want. I like to make this completely round, so it looks nice. You know what, we could even go for an anamorphic one if we wanted. Actually no, let's stay with normal. All right. And then finally, we're going to come up to the gain. We're going to make that maybe 15. Drop the threshold down so that more stuff is getting highlighted. Saturation, we'll make that 100 because we want it to retain its saturation. Repeat edge pixels. And then up here on blur map layer, hit blur map. And bang, there you go, mini city. So then what you can do is go in and adjust the size of this mask. So you could click that corner, hold shift and click that corner, hold shift again while you're dragging and just drag them up slightly, and then do the same thing with these two bottom ones. Hold shift and then drag down. just to make it slightly bigger, because I think that was a bit of a narrow scope of view. And there you go, that looks pretty cool. Maybe slightly less blur. Let's go for, I don't know, let's try 40, see how that looks. All right, and then finally, you know, because this footage is looking a bit flat, what we can do after this is apply some color correction. Now, I'll apply the color correction after the lens blur, and the reason for that is that I'm going to be sharpening with this within the Lumetri color, and when you sharpen it under the camera lens blur, essentially it's blurring everything that was sharpened, so you're losing that overall sharpness effect, and I want to have that overall sharpness effect. I've just remembered one thing to do in the camera lens blur, and that is to increase your diffraction fringe until you like it. What it basically does is just accentuates the edges in the out of focus stuff, so it makes your bokeh balls stand out more, which is nice, which I like. So let's minimize that and then come down to basic correction. What should we do? We can just apply a LUT, or we can correct it ourselves. I'll correct it myself. So I'll apply a node there, node there, node there. I'm gonna drag this down slightly. Okay, that looks nice. I'm gonna drag this up a touch to give it some contrast. And then green is nice, but I actually want to boost the reds a little bit more. So I'm just gonna drag that up like so. And then we're gonna come up to creative. And in creative, I'm gonna add 25 for the faded film, 15 for sharpness, 40 for vibrance, and I'm going to put the saturation down to 90, 90 or even 85. Okay, and that is basically going to give me a picture that I like. That's cool. And then I could even apply a little bit of split toning. So if I make the shadows cyan and the highlights up towards reds and oranges, then that gives me a nice bit of split toning. All right, and that's it, guys. That's how you create a cool tilt shift lens effect. That house looks mini, doesn't it? It's a tiny model. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you get some really cool stuff out of this. And yeah, as always, thanks very much. Subscribe and see you next time.